Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Go Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahanta Paribhāja Acharya Ashtottara Srimad Advaita Acharya Narendra Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Bindi Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glory to the Summa devotees. All glory to the Summa devotees. All glory to the Summa devotees. All glory to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 70, Text 6, 7, 8, and 9. Ata plutam vasyamale yata vidhi Kriya kalapam paridhaya vasasi Chakara sandhyo pagamadi satamo Utanalo brahma jajapa bhagyata Ata plutam vasyamale yata vidhi Kriya kalapam paridhaya vasasi Chakara sandhyo pagamadi satamo Utanalo brahma jajapa bhagyata Tapatum vasyamale yata vidhi Tapatum vasyamale yata vidhi kalapam paridhaya vasasi Chakara sandhyo pagamadi satamo Utanalo brahma jajapa bhagyata Tapatum vasyamale yata vidhi Yakalapam paridhaya vasasi Sandhya Bhagamadi Satamo Tapatum Balsimale Yata Vidi Kriya Kalapam Paridhaya Vasasi Kara Sandhyo Pagamadi Satamo Dhanalo Brahma Jajapa Bhagyata Vaishnavis. Tapatum Vasyamale Yata Vidi Yakalapam Paridhaya Vasasi Sakari Sandhyo Pagamadi Satamo Analo Brahma Jajapa Vagyata Ata then Aptuta having bathed Ambasi in water Amale pure Yata Bidi according to Vedic rules Kriya of rituals Kalapam the entire sequence Paridhaya after dressing Vasasi in lower and upper garments Chakara he executed Sandhya Upamaga worship at dawn Adi and so on Sattama the most saintly of personalities Huta having offered oblations Anala to the sacred fire Brahma the mantra of the Vedas namely Gayatri Jajapa he chanted quietly Bhak speech Yata controlling translation and purport by the servants of Srila Prabhupada. That most saintly of personalities would then bathe in sanctified water, dress himself in lower and upper garments, and perform the entire sequence of prescribed rituals, beginning with worship at dawn. After offering oblations into the fire, Lord Krishna would silently chant the Gayatri mantra. Purport. Sridhar Swami points out that since Lord Krishna was in the disciplic succession from Kanva Muni, he offered oblations to the fire before sunrise. Then he chanted the Gayatri mantra. Om Jnanat Mirandasya Ganang Jana Sharakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Darati Swaparantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatyarishatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Titanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So we'll read the other verses in this sequence, because this purport is not very philosophical. But just a couple points about this particular verse. So Krishna is described as Sudāmā, and Srila Prabhupada translates it as the most saintly of personalities, the greatest. But it also means, Sudāmā means one who is the most expert at Sat, at inspiring others by his activities. So this is a very particular characteristic of Krishna, that he has nothing to do in this material world. As he says in Bhagavad Gita, that actually me partasti kartavyam, that really there's no prescribed duties for me. Nothing particular that I have to do. Trishu lokeshu kinchana. Within the three worlds. Not even within the three worlds am I personally involved, as he also expresses in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. No? Na-navaptam avaptavyam. Nothing, I have nothing to do now, and I'll have nothing to do later. Otherwise, not that, like we may think, like a small child, 5 years old, 4 years old, has nothing to do, but in the future they have to do something. But Krishna has no obligations. But Varta eva cha karmani. But I accept prescribed duties. And why does Krishna accept prescribed duties? Because if he doesn't do it, then yarihyaham nabartayam. That if I don't do this, then jatu karman yatandritaha. Not only if I don't do it, but if I don't do it very carefully. Now in Vrindavan, Krishna doesn't do it very carefully. He doesn't do it at all. He's acting, he's a thief. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states in the Damodar Leela that you are a thief. No, that if you as the Supreme Lord, you punish the thieves, you put them you tie them up or you kill them. No, but you're a thief and you're being tied up. So this is very mysterious. So Krishna is not a good example. That's why in Bhagavad Gita he tells Arjuna that Arjuna, you should declare boldly, because he's actually, how can he give the example? Just like when Advaita Acharya was, he was very frustrated because every time he would try to take a subordinate position to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would always, he would do the opposite. He would grab his feet. So on one occasion, he grabbed Lord Chaitanya's feet, and Lord Chaitanya complained, and then he said that every cobbler or every simple person can have your mercy, but myself and Srivas we cannot have. So and Lord Chaitanya ran out of the house, jumped in the Ganga, and Haridas and Nityananda Prabhu went and pulled him out of the Ganga. And then he said, I'm leaving for the house of Nandana Acharya, but don't tell anybody where I am, otherwise you will never see me again. So obviously they didn't say anything. And then Advaita Acharya felt so bad that he was practically ready to leave his body. So Shiva sent Lord Chaitanya for him. And he came and he told him that sometimes I have to correct you. He said, yes, you may say that now, but later you will change your mind. So then Advaita Acharya began to think, how can I become subordinate to Lord Chaitanya? And then he thought, I will teach yoga, the yoga philosophy and Sankhya philosophy. And he was teaching, and one of his teachings was, why do you want to depend on Krishna? No, you should not depend on Krishna. He never keeps his word. No. In the battle of Kurukshetra, he said he would not fight, but then he stood up for Arjuna against the superior. No. What kind of religious principles are these? No. And you can never be sure if he tells you something. So don't depend on him when he says Sarvadhamam Parityajamam Ekam Sharanam. Don't depend that he will save you. He may not. He may change his mind. Better to study Vedanta, and then you will be sure. So Krishna in Vrindavan, you never know what he'll do. But therefore in Dwarka, he had to establish the position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this whole verse, Sudāmā, Sandhya, Apagama, Adi, he Sandhya before sunrise, or actually the Sandhya just before the sun rises. And we chant every day Trisandhyam in our Guru Vastakam. 3 times a day we worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And just as it says here, he would get up very early in the morning. That's also, Krishna is giving that example. Even here on the altar, he gets up every day. We never see one day the altar is closed, says, sorry, Krishna has decided to sleep in. Sometimes we would do that. Sometimes we may not be there. But Krishna is always there. So he's giving this example, and that is the meaning of Sudāmā. He is the greatest enforcer, or the greatest example of the absolute truth. There's no one greater than him. No one can surpass him. No one can do anything greater than Krishna. As it says in Svatashvatara Upanishad, that Tamishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram, that of all the controllers, he is the supreme controller. Yat Daivatanam Parama Chadaivatad. And he is the supreme Deva of all the Devas. Patim Patinam. And of all rulers, even greater than Indra, even greater than Brahma, even greater than Shiva, is Krishna. And Paramam Parastat. He is greater than the greatest. This can only happen on the transcendental platform. Just like in this world, if somebody is the greatest, no one can be greater, at least for some time. Of course, here, even someone may be very great, but then they get old. Someone may be a great fighter or a great intellectual, but then they get old and they die. Then someone will become greater. But Krishna is always greater than the greatest. Just like in the spiritual world, everything begins at 100% and goes above. Here we can only go to 100%. That's all we can do. And therefore, Krishna is offering us something very special. He says, you give everything, you surrender to me, and I will give everything. But our everything, what is it compared to Krishna's everything? And Krishna's requirement is so minimal. Patram pushpam palam toya, leaf, flower, water, fruit. That's all he's asking. Minimal. But then he asks, you must give your heart. No? That tesham satadayuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam. No? You must be always engaged in me, my service, and it must be with full loving devotion. No? Like Kamsa, he was always thinking of Krishna, but not with loving devotion, with fear and anxiety and hatred. But still, he got liberated. Actually, Uddhava in ecstasy. He was in ecstasy when he was speaking to Maitreya. And he said that that actually, I think Kamsa is more fortunate than us, the Vrishnis, because Kamsa was always thinking of Krishna very intensely. And we see Krishna in the assembly house. No? Just like in the next verse, we'll read, Krishna would go to the assembly house. No? And we see him, so when we leave the assembly house, we know that tomorrow I will see him. So I may be thinking about my family, I may be thinking about eating, I may be thinking about so many other... we all do that. Because Uddhava is doing this in ecstasy. Actually, he's saying indirectly, you should never forget about Krishna. You should never you should never think, tomorrow I can take up devotional service. Today I have to make some money. No. Today I have to finish my studies. But tomorrow I will chant. No. What if that tomorrow didn't come? One devotee wanted to study Ayurveda. No. And he told Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada wrote him back. He wrote a letter. Prabhupada wrote him back, said no. So he wrote back. But Prabhupada, Ayurveda is like Vedic science. It seems like much better than going to work in some company. And Prabhupada said, what if you are studying and then you die? Then what good will it be? So otherwise Prabhupada was telling him, first you become Krishna conscious, then you do these things. No. First of all, become Krishna conscious. Don't put it off. In one letter, Srila Prabhupada said, don't wait until the last 3 years to become Krishna conscious. He didn't say 7 days like Parikshit Maharaj. No. We may think, yeah, I'll wait till the last 7 days. No. We don't know when we have 7 days or even 3 years. So therefore, atato brahma jigasa, we have to do it now. So Krishna is the greatest. Bidhama devam bhuvanesham idya. He's the most worshipable in all the 3 worlds. He's the most worshipable Supreme Personality of Godhead. But natasya karyam karanam chividyate. But he's the one person who has nothing to do. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's German disciple, he wanted to come. You know, he was initiated by one disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta, but he had never seen him. He's living in Germany. So he had to come by ship. There was no airplane at that time. So he came and he landed in Mumbai, and then he had to cross over by train. And so he decided, well, this is probably the only time I'll ever come to India. Let me, stop and see some temples. But when he arrived, he said, now I can understand who is Krishna. Because, I saw Varahadev, he's lifting the earth. I saw different deities and demigods, they're all doing something. And Matsya, he's carrying the Vedas. And Kurma, he's supporting the mountain. And he said, Krishna, he's just playing his flute and smiling. No, we never see him here put down his flute and do something. No. When Krishna does something, of course, we're talking about Vrindavan Krishna, Braja Krishna, not this Dwarka Krishna. He does something, but it's also for his pleasure. But at the same time, he gives an example. We don't take Krishna's example. We just appreciate Krishna's sweetness. Actually, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that, it describes that Krishna saw himself in a jeweled pillar as reflection. And he said, I am very beautiful. I am very beautiful and very sweet. Therefore, I want to go to the material world and show everyone my sweetness in Vrindavan. They're worshiping me with awe and reverence. Now I want them to worship me with loving devotion, with raga bhakti. Of course, we don't do raga bhakti prematurely. The 6 Goswamis, they were giving the example, and even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the example of sadhana. And Krishna is giving the example of sadhana. Even he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But because he's in the role of a devotee, then he was very strict, a very strict sannyasi. Although when he appeared before Lord Jagannath, he said, I have none of these designations, none of these sarvopadi vinirmuktam. We're trying to get rid of the sarvapadis or the sarva upadis, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, a devotee, otherwise what does that mean? That means when we come before the Lord, we forget that I am a brahmachari, sannyasi, grihastha, man, woman, all these things. And if we don't do that, then we need varnashram. If I'm still thinking I'm a man or a woman, or black or white, or this or that, or Brahman, these are functions that we carry out in this world. Just like in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam, Lord Rishabdev says, the Brahmins are so dear to me. Actually, I eat through the mouth of the Brahmins. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport that, actually the verse says, but he explains more, that Krishna prefers to eat through the mouth of the Brahmins more than the sacrificial fire. Just like when Krishna was in Vrindavan, and Krishna and Balaram sent their friends to go get some alms from the Brahmins. Of course, we know they were puffed up. They didn't give anything. But then when the wives of the Dvija-patnīs came, Krishna told his friends, don't even tell them that we're hungry. Just say that Krishna and Balaram are nearby. And when they heard that, they ran out without even arranging themselves nicely. They ran out with all kinds of foodstuffs. As Rupa Goswami says, you should never come before the deity without offering some gift. You always offer some gift or some service. We don't come before the deity and make the deity the object of our pleasure. As Srila Prabhupada said, we don't want to see Krishna dancing. We want to dance for Krishna, not that Krishna dances for me. Some people, they say, oh, yes, I saw Krishna in a dream last night. He was doing this for me. No, this is not the mood of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. So the point is that we simply want to worship Krishna. We want to please Krishna. We want to do everything for Krishna's pleasure. And therefore, natat samash cha vyadikash trajishyate. Because the Upanishad says, because there's no one equal to him, or no one that can even be a good second. There is a good second, that's Balaram. But no one in this world, no jiva, can come close. Even Lord Brahma, he was a little puffed up once, and so he went to take darshan of Krishna, and when he arrived, so he's at the doorkeeper. He asked, I want to see Krishna. He said, who are you? He was puffed up. Who am I? I'm Brahma. They said, oh, okay. Which Brahma? What do you mean, which Brahma? No, I'm Brahma, Lord of the universe. He said, yes, which Brahma? No, he couldn't understand. And then the doorkeeper brought him in. Krishna said, let him in. And he came, and he saw thousands, millions of Brahmas, all bigger than him. Prabhupada said, our Brahma is a small Brahma. No? he only has 4 heads. Some Brahmas have 100 heads. Some Brahmas have 1,000 heads. Their universe is so big. We're in a little tiny universe. And it looks very big at night for us. Just like an ant. If an ant is crawling on you, it looks like some big mountain. But we see just a little ant. So we're thinking, our false ego is thinking like that. That that everything revolves around me. Everything must fit within the grasp of my intelligence. If I can't grasp it with my intelligence, it must not exist. This is the scientist philosophers. Srila Prabhupada said, scientists and philosophers, they are empowered by Maya. Just like Krishna has his pure devotees, Maya has her pure devotees also. Scientists, philosophers. Not all of them. There are some good philosophers. Even Socrates, he at least understood that he was not this body. Even in the Christian tradition, there were 2 great saints, Saint John of the Cross and Mother Teresa, not the one who came here to Calcutta, but many, 800 years before. They actually had a vision of Goloka Vrindavan. Not full vision, but they describing, they said, and I saw in my vision, beautiful Lord, playing music. They didn't mention the flute. Playing music, and so many young girls dancing. They had this vision. Practically no philosophy, but because of their purity, they had that vision. So, but we can't. We think that everything must fit within my mind, within my vision. So therefore, Parasya Shakti Vividhaya Vishuyate Swabhaviki Gyanabala Kriya Cha. Krishna has unlimited energies. He doesn't have to do anything. His energies take care of everything automatically. He doesn't have to, like we have energies, but we have to direct them. We have to think, now I'm thinking about this, I'm doing this, now I have to do that. But Krishna's energies act automatically so that he can play his flute or so that he can perform his activities. But now he's giving an example. So I will read the other verses. I think I'm just going to read the translation. Each day, this is text 7 through 9. Each day the Lord worshipped the rising sun and propitiated the demigods, sages, and forefathers, who are all his expansions. The self-possessed Lord would then carefully worship his elders and the brāhmaṇas. To those well-attired brāhmaṇas he would offer herds of tame and peaceful cows with gold-plated horns and pearl necklaces. These cows were also dressed in fine cloth. The fronts of their hooves were plated with silver. Providers of abundant milk, they each had given birth only once and were accompanied by their calves. Daily the Lord gave many groups of 13,084 cows to the learned Brahmins, together with linen, deerskins, and sesame seeds. Sridhar Swami quotes several Vedic scriptures to show that the context of Vedic ritual, a badva, here refers to 13,084 cows. The words badvam badvan dine dine indicate that the Lord would give the learned Brahmins many such groups of cows on a daily basis. Sridhar Swami further gives evidence that the usual practice for great saintly kings in previous ages was to give 107 such badva, or groups of 13,084 cows. Thus, the total number of cows given in this sacrifice, known as Mangchara, is 14 lakhs, or 1,400,000. So just imagine, Krishna is giving away every day 1,400,000, 14 lakhs of cows every day. Now one may say, this is sounds very exaggerated. And then when you hear Ugrasen had had 1 billion bodyguards. And that's, how did that be? How could there be so many people just in one city and just bodyguards for one king? But that's because when Krishna comes, he brings the whole spiritual world. Just like when Lord Chaitanya came, how many devotees were doing Sankirtan in the house of Srivas? Maybe 30, 40 devotees, 50 devotees, maybe 70 devotees. But when they went to march on the house of Chankazi, there were millions. Millions. Where did they come from? They came from the spiritual world. They were so it describes in Chaitanya Bhagavat that when they were coming, there were so many of them that the Chankazi's guards, they saw them coming, and they took a chadar and wrapped it around their heads so that you hide their beards. They go, Haribo, Haribo. Wanted to fit in. How are you going to protect yourself against millions of people? So anyway, the point is that Krishna, when he appears, he doesn't have to obey the laws of nature. As it says, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ajopi san abhyatma bhutanam ishvaropi sam prakritim tam adhishtaya. Prakritim, he has his own transcendental nature. He appears with his transcendental nature. Sambhamam yatma mayaya. And everything is manifested by his internal potency. It's not that he does, and he never loses his position. Even though he's 3 months old, he kills Putana, and he kills Shakatasura. Just 3 months old. How many 3 months olds can? Usually they can't even do anything. They can't even go to the bathroom. What to speak of killing demons? So great is Krishna. So the words alankitebhyo viprabhya indicate that Lord Krishna's kingdom, the Brahmins were given nice clothes and ornaments and were well attired. As we know, Krishna received Sudāmā Vipra, and he received him in such a way. First of all, Sudāmā, when he was arriving in Dwarka, he thought they would just kick me out. He saw everyone beautifully dressed in silk, and even the Brahmins. The Brahmins in Dwarka were like beautiful silk cloth, nicely decorated, nice, wealthy Brahmins. And here he is in torn cloth. He's thinking, they won't even let me in, but everyone let him pass by. And he walked right into Krishna's palace. And Rukmini was fanning him with other queens and servants. And they saw, when Krishna saw him, he embraced him, and he put him on his bed and began to worship him. And so they could not understand. And then after they spoke, and they were joking and speaking about when they were together with Sandipani Muni, and how they went out to look for the other disciples. They described all, and then when then they finished, and they actually had spoken all night. And when they finished, Krishna said, "I think you have something for me," and Sudāmā hid that rice, behind him, and so Krishna said, and he grabbed his hand, he took it, he took 1 grain, and he took another grain, and then Rukmini said, "No more. You have become so satisfied. If you take more, I don't have enough within the 3 worlds to compensate." And then Sudāmā left, and he was thinking, Krishna didn't give me anything. I came here, but I could not ask him for anything. He is so wonderful. And he knew that if he gave me something, I would be bewildered. So therefore, he didn't give me anything. But then he arrived, he saw this beautiful palace. A beautiful goddess of fortune was coming down the stairway. He said, "Who are you?" She said, "I'm your wife." he didn't recognize. She was like, before she was like, like all wrinkled up and from hunger. Now she was so beautiful. And then at that point, he transformed into a beautiful personality. Otherwise, she would not have recognized him. And then he went inside and he slept on the floor. He had a big palace, but he was simple. Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that actually Krishna did this because Sudāmā, he was a perfect devotee, but he was a little bit proud of his poverty. So he wanted to take away that pride by giving him everything. And then, when he left, Krishna was thinking, my devotee has defeated me. Because a devotee always defeats Krishna. When his pure devotee, not us, we don't defeat Krishna. We should definitely not try. And a pure devotee doesn't try. Because he said, Sudāmā gave me everything he had. He gave me more than he had, because he had to borrow the rice. But I cannot give him more than I have because I have everything. And therefore he has defeated me. So we see how much Krishna loves the Brahmins. As I mentioned, the 5th canto, it says, the Brahmins chant the Vedic hymns, and the Vedic hymns are the sound representation of Krishna. Therefore the Brahmins are not only Krishna's eating through their mouths, but Krishna's manifesting through their mouths in the form of Vedic mantras. So how much does Krishna love? Of course, we're not talking about Shmarta Brahmins. We're talking about Vaishnava Brahmins. Actually, Prabhupada said many times that Brahman means Vaishnava. If the Brahman is not Vaishnava, he's actually not really a Brahman. He's just an external Brahman. But he's not an internal Brahman, one who's actually Brahman, who, as it says in the previous verse, Hutta Analo Brahma. And Prabhupada says the mantra, the Vedas, the Gayatri. So the Brahman who chants the Gayatri and becomes enlivened. We have our Gayatri, Pancharatrika Gayatri and Brahma Gayatri. We have them. And they're actually supposed to awaken pure love of Godhead within the heart every time we chant. That may not happen immediately, but that is the purpose. So we have to come to that point. So here's the last paragraph of this purport. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada writes with striking and profound insight on these pastimes of Lord Krishna. The reader is strongly urged to study this book, which contains an invaluable wealth of information and commentary on the pastimes described in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Our humble attempt here can never equal the consummate purity and skill of our great Master. Still, as a service offered at his lotus feet, we are simply presenting the original Sanskrit text of the 10th canto, word for word meanings, a clear translation and essential commentary, for the most part based on the statements of the great spiritual masters in our line. So here, this last part of the purport is actually glorifying Srila Prabhupada and glorifying the Krishna book. Because although Krishna book doesn't contain all the commentaries, it contains Srila Prabhupada's commentary throughout the whole Bhagavatam. Much of it is translation, but actually Srila Prabhupada has, just like I was, the other day I was mentioning that Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam is, the Bhagavatam commentaries that Srila Prabhupada used to carry around with him was a book about this big. And we see Prabhupada's Bhagavatam, so many books. If you put it in one book like this, you would have to have very small print. And of course nowadays everybody reads from cell phones, so they have no problem with fine print. Until you get old like me, then it's a little more difficult. So anyway, the point is that we find so much realization. One time I read through the Krishna book, and then I would read the chapter, then I would read the chapter in the Bhagavatam. And there, even the parts where Prabhupada actually translated the first 13 chapters, Srila Prabhupada says some things in his Krishna book that are not there. Because he wrote it with an intense desire to present the Bhagavatam in case he thought, because he had so many heart attacks on the way, and then he had another heart attack in the U.S., so he thought, I better present the whole Bhagavatam. I may not live. And of course, Prabhupada left right after the pastimes of the Brahma and the cowherd boys. So, these are some thoughts on this particular verse. I wanted to mention something about kirtan. Prabhupada was born here. You are all very fortunate that you are here at Prabhupada's birthplace, where Prabhupada manifested his. But almost everyone in Bengal, when they chant the Mahamantra, they say Hari Ramo. No. But Prabhupada never said it. You listen to Prabhupada. If someone could show me one time Prabhupada said Ramo, then I will accept. But he never said it. Although his accent, he would say Katriya, he would say Parikkat, no, Boyoshiki, no. He would speak so many things. But so I just meditate on that, you know. But Prabhupada never said Ramo. No. So we should, of course you can say that. You're authorized because you're from Bengal. No. You're authorized. Of course nowadays everybody does it. And Prabhupada, according to some devotees, he said, who is this Ramo? He asked Vishnu Jan Swami. I don't know. That's not written down. But some devotees in Canada said that happened in Canada. That Jai Sachinandan, who was a Bengali devotee, but a very scholarly devotee, he was chanting Ramo, and Prabhupada said, who is this Ramo? But in any case, Prabhupada's example is that the Mahamantra is pronounced that way. So I thought I would offer that. But another thing, I'm noticing all over India, I don't know why, but when everyone chants the Nrsimha mantra, they don't pronounce it properly. It's Namaste Narasimhaya Praladala Daine Hiranyakashipu Ito Nising Parato Nising Ho Yato Yamitato Nising Ha Bahir Nising Ho Hridaye Nising Ho. But for some reason, everywhere in India, everyone says Nisingha, 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 Nisingha. No. So anyway, just thought I would mention that. So you can look at it in the songbook and you'll see he only says Nisingha 2 times, but because of the sandhya, you say Nisingho. If the next letter is B, then it must be O. So anyway, thought I would mention that. And I did want to mention that just being here, I remember I came here the first time, 1976, and of course it was very different than it is now. This was one big room here, and then there was Prabhupada's room, and everybody else, the sannyasis, stayed upstairs, and all of us had to stay on the lake. It was like 100, maybe, I don't know how many devotees, like maybe 180 devotees all staying around the lake, and so I was a little sick, and I was sitting right here, right about right here, lamenting, how can I stay on the lake? I have diarrhea. I have, what am I going to do? And then one life member came and said, you want a place to stay? I said, well, yes. He took me to his house. And his house was right next door to Bagh Bazar temple. So I went I heard the kirtan in the morning, I went, but I saw this one devotee, and I went 3 days in a row. We would go to a Mangal Artik there, then we would come here for Prabhupada's class. But this devotee was always there, so I asked him, Prabhu, I said, I am godbrother of your Guru Maharaj. I said, oh, you come every day? Yes, I come at 1 o'clock. I chant my 64 rounds, then I go to work. No. So I just wanted to mention that. Such an example. So at least we should try to get up early and chant our 16 rounds before everything else. Even those of you who may work, no. I was just always thinking of that devotee. How many of us could get up at 1 in the morning, chant 16 rounds, then go to work? I have 64 rounds, then go to work. So I was just thinking of that in relation to this verse, that Krishna is giving the example. So especially the brahmacharis, you are the nucleus of the community, and you have to always give the example of enthusiasm. Utsaha nishtaya dharya tat karma pravartana, as Rupa Goswami, because that example will be the stimulus and the inspiration for the whole Kolkata community to become more and more Krishna conscious. And we always, especially all of us, all initiated devotees, have to give the example of Trinadapi Sunichena Tarori Vasishnuna Manidena Kirtaniya Sadahari. No. We have to be very humble. Of course, humble sometimes means you speak strongly. If someone is a Mayavadi, humble means you speak strongly. You have to obey Krishna, you have to obey the parampara. But generally speaking, in our Vaishnava dealings, we must be very humble, very respectful to all the Vaishnavas, and give that example so that people can calm down the fire of ahankar in their lives, in their minds, and in their hearts. So I'll stop here. Any quick question before we... Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj Ji, thank you very much for your class. Maharaj Ji, I have one doubt that in one song of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, he is writing that I aspire to be insect in a devotee's house, but not a Brahma who is a non-devotee. But in Bhagavatam, Brahma is mentioned as a Mahajan. So is the Srimad Bhagavatam specific to our universe only?
Well, Rupa Goswami said, Sadhu Sangha, Namakirtan, Bhagavata Shravana. No. These are the three things, the three main things. There's 5 items. Then Mathura Vasa, no? Shimurtira Shadaya. We worship the deity, we live in a holy place. All of you, most of you live in a holy place. But even everybody who lives in their house, it must be a holy place. Otherwise the deity must be there. But the most important thing is sadhu sangha. No? And sadhu sangha doesn't mean we are physically together. It means that shravanam kirtanam, no? Machchita madgata prana, that bodhyantas parasparam katyantas chamam nityam tushantischa ramanticha. As Krishna says, my devotees, their hearts are filled with love for me. They're always speaking about me and hearing about me. So the most important thing is having the proper mood of hearing and chanting in the association of devotees. And then Nama Kirtan, then we can do Nam Kirtan. And when we do Nam Kirtan, then we can hear the Bhagavatam better. And when we hear the Bhagavatam properly, then we can do real Nam Kirtan. So, if we just remember these 5 things, then our spiritual life will be perfect. If we can just remember Shikshastikam, even if you can't remember anything else, just do these 5 things, remember the mood of Shikshastikam. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Durdaivam idrishami hajani nanuraga, that I have no attraction. So then he said, how do you get that attraction? Trinadapi sunichena. You get it by humility, and demonstrating that humility in our Vaishnava dealings. So Srila Prabhupada said this process is very easy. Actually, it's very easy, but the difficulty is the having the degree of humility we need in order to have proper Vaishnava dealings. That's the difficulty. Otherwise, what does it take to chant the Mahamantra? But to hear the Mahamantra and always remember the Mahamantra, that requires some concentration. Hare Krishna. So I think because it's a little late, oh yes, one more question, yeah. Pass the microphone.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Danvat Pranam. Maharaj, my question is, sometimes the youngsters, they understand Krishna consciousness, but they don't understand the urgency of it. So
they don't understand
the urgency.
Uh-huh.
So how do we make them understand that?
By example. Example is the best teacher. Just like in the beginning of our movement, no one could understand anything Prabhupada was saying. These Western hippies and drug addicted young people. No, but they saw Prabhupada's example, how Prabhupada was cooking for them. Actually, in the beginning, everyone would go to the temple because you could get a hot meal. They didn't go there to hear the Bhagavatam class or to chant Hare Krishna. They went, and then they could dance. They were all dancing in a crazy way, But when they saw Prabhupada, of course, one day Prabhupada had to say, he sat down, he said, all right, now I will tell you, I am the Guru, you are the disciple. Because they would let Prabhupada wash their plates, and so Prabhupada had to tell them. Imagine how difficult it is for a pure Vaishnava to tell someone, you have to follow me. Very difficult. So we just give the example. That is the best thing. And then gradually, and not everyone is meant to, sometimes Krishna sends a demon to deal with us. And it doesn't matter what we say, and that gives us more humility. And that also makes us understand, I'm not the controller. I cannot create the results of my actions. It all depends on Krishna's mercy.
Thank you, Maharaj.
So, thank you all very much. I think we'll stop here because of the time factor. And if anybody has a question later, I have to go now, but later in the day or afternoon, I'm available if you would like to, if I can help serve you in some way. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.